to use awful language. We are live, everybody. People can hear you. Nobody can
I
see
did
you.
not say awful language. I'm talking filthy language. There's a difference. Filthy language can be fantastic. It's a brilliant linguistic tool.
All right, everybody can see
If you
you.
don't swear, you're limiting your options.
Hello, everybody.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to this, our Session 0 stream for Season 2 of Choombas. Hopefully some of you may have seen all or part of Season 1. If not, they should be available on the VOD here and on the Cyberpunk Uncensored YouTube channel, so check those out. Also check out, of course, the Cyberpunk Uncensored Discord, the sign up to the YouTube channel, take a look at the website, see our fantastic sponsors who support us with doing these things and having our fun, silly games. So today, for people who aren't familiar with the concept of Session 0, because not everybody is, this is a quick non-gameplay session where we will sit around and have a conversation about everybody's expectations for the game to come. So that means we will touch on, content, what subjects we will touch, what we will leave well alone, behavior, and then the style of game that people want to run, people's characters, getting into some background stuff. We're also going to cover, since we have two returning players from Season 1, we'll do a little bit on filling in the gaps between what we want to have happened in between seasons and where we're picking up from. So I am going to try not to talk too much, because anybody who's seen any of the streams before knows that's a problem, me rambling on and on. So instead, I'm going to hand over to other people quickly. Can we, for now, just go through, if we just introduce yourself as a person very quickly and tell us what your character's name is and what their role is to get us started. So we'll start with the order we have on the overlay to begin with. So we'll start with our solo. Who are you, what do you do, and who is your character?
Hello, I am playing Harabag, the solo. In real life, I am Will, also known as CyberSmiley. I run a website called CyberSmiley's Datafort that I try to give some good utilities for the cyberpunk community to use and abuse as they need to. And I just wanted to say one thing. I've been meaning to say this a while. Locke, you have the beard that Greek gods would die for.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah, I am in many ways outclassed on this stream, in dress, in beard, in general appearance. Yeah, I need to up my game if I'm going to run this. So thank you very much, Smiley. And then our Nomad. Who are you, and who is your character, and what is their role? We'll get into more depth after.
Hey, I'm Chris, the Graphite Dragon from thegraphitedragon.com. I am playing Dram, the Nomad.
Cool. Next up, some of you may recognize this person from other places, but I'll let her fill you in on that. So our media, who are you, and who's your character?
Hi, I'm Ariel. I played Hollow on Rob's stream games. I just got completely flustered there. But currently, I'm going to be playing Striker, and I think April O'Neil with a little bit of edge.
Very nice. And next, we have our exec, Donia. Go
Hi,
for it.
I'm Raven, otherwise known as Doña Trece Cuervo. I'll be playing an exec, Valentina Lynx.
Okay, thank you very much. And then a couple who certainly not last for no reason other than the overlay order. We have our returning players from season 1. So, hi Jack, introduce
How's
yourself,
it
buddy.
going? Hey guys, you might remember me from season 1. I'm Hijack, our resident, I like to call him a partier. He's our net runner. Quite skilled, I'd like to think, too. And he likes to see where things go.
Cool. Yeah. And finally, he of the immense beard of much jealousy inducing. Locke.
What's up, guys? Hey, everybody, how you doing? I'm Locke.
Quick
Also known as...
interruption.
Yeah.
I just switched between Twitch and this channel. I can hear this, but I can't hear it in Twitch.
I thought I
I
could.
don't know if that's true for
Here,
everyone else.
let's check
Ooh.
that real quick. Make sure that's working. I thought I held this up to my ear and listened a little bit, and so I can get it.
Yeah.
I can hear the Twitch.
See, I generally don't pick up on anything like that
So
just
that's-
because
so it's
I
working-
leave Twitch muted.
Yeah, so I just turned it up, and I'm getting audio on my phone with the Twitch stream.
Because I just saw sound alerts in the chat.
Let me
Could be
see.
wrong. I'm not a Twitch expert. so-
No. It's this is good. This is good. We need to. It's good that we're getting it now. Let me pop in here and see what's going up.
Yeah. If you don't mind, well, and also to give you some sound to work with, we will go into a couple of other things and then jump back to you, if that's okay, Locke?
Yeah, it's fine. It's saying something about sound alerts. I don't know what sound alerts is. That's some kind of a. I think that's some kind of alert box thing. Does he have alerts set up from this channel? Because if anyone wants to pull up the stream right now, we sound fine. So I think we're okay. I think it's some other kind of. It's some other kind of thing that Rob might have for like alerts or something. Which, if we do something, we're not going to be able to set it up for today, unfortunately, because that'll take a little bit of time to set that up. So as long as we sound good, they can hear us. All this is good. Then I think that should be fine for session 0.
I've seen that alert on every stream that I've looked at of Rob's. So I think that's just part of something he's got set up.
Okay.
All right. Cool.
So I think we're good.
There we go.
So
Awesome.
I'm Locke. I play a techie, also known as Burroughs Forge. I do some blacksmithing, beekeeping, falconry, and mead brewing live on Twitch, and I also like to play RPGs. So very happy that I'm here with the folks here at CYBERPUNK Uncensored and Panda. Had a great session 1 or season 1. Looking forward to season 2 with all of our new friends. So welcome everybody. And I can't wait to dive in to see what is in store, and looking forward to the recap that Panda's going to give us about what happened last season.
Cool. Thank you. And I am Matt, aka GM Reservoir Panda. At the moment, most of the places that you'll find me on the internet are here or on YouTube through Cyberpunk Uncensored. There are various other things that I do which I'm contemplating getting around to streaming some other things, but I'm currently starting up 2 different Cyberpunk Red campaigns at the same time on the same weekend, so I'm going to give myself a little break before I get onto new projects, and I will announce those as and when they come up. So thank you everybody for your introductions. I think we'll go straight in, and there are a few things that we need to discuss, but I will say right off the bat, everyone should be aware, if you were in or ever saw the previous stream, and to me these things are fairly common sense anyway, of what our limitations are regarding behavior and content. But I think it's always best to get it out of the way, make sure everyone's absolutely on board and knows where we stand. So, Cyberpunk, Night City, these are dark settings. Terrible things happen on a minute by minute basis. We acknowledge that, and we certainly may make reference to these things. But what this is not going to be, you are not going to get hostile style. This is not torture porn. We do not need graphic detail on things. You know, people have personal relationships, and they can have them between their characters if they like, or between characters and NPCs. That's all fine. But again, when it comes to details of, who sticks what in where and who, then we don't really need that level of information. So that will all be handled off screen if anyone wants to do anything like that. So things that will, some topics that are not going to be discussed in anything more than an absolutely passing fashion. We're talking things like, violence against children, any sort of sexual content or sexual violence. These things may be mentioned, but they will not be a scene. And what I like to do as well is get a general list, just go around with everybody, check that you're sort of okay with that, and also make sure that if anybody has any particular things that they would rather we didn't even mention in the vaguest sense, that's absolutely fine, and you can either mention it here, or you can feel free to message me in private, and those things will never ever appear in any way, shape, or form in the stream, in the games, because we are not here to upset anybody. We're here to have fun, and you'll never have to give me an explanation either of why. Your own personal reasons are your reasons, and I do not have any entitlement to anybody else's life story and history. So if you don't want something mentioned, that's it. It goes off the table, and we never have to mention it ever again. There will be things like bad language. I'm sure certain people here can attest to the fact that I swear probably more than everyone else on the stream combined. I do try to, believe it or not, that's me trying to rein it in. But I don't see anything wrong with swearing in general. I do draw the lines at things like, homophobia, racism, transphobia. These things are not, yes, they are real world things that happen. I don't think they need to be put into a game. So you may, if anyone exhibits these traits, it's actually a fairly good OOC indication that they're a piece of trash. And at the same time, it also means that while it may be mentioned, say you get a description of a person that you're going after and you're told that they're a racist piece of shit, that is what you get told. What you will not see is that actually acted out on screen, because I don't want to use those words, and I don't think anybody else benefits from me doing it. There's acting, and that's not a necessary part of it. So hopefully everybody is okay with that. So if we could just go around and make sure, have a quick check with everybody that you're okay with the general behavior that I've just discussed, and if there's any topics you want to bring up now that you'd like to say, I don't want to even hear those words, then feel free to mention them, or as I say, you can DM me now or later, and that will be fine. So we'll go back in the reverse order to how we started out. So Locke, I'm hoping you're okay with everything because you've done a full season with me now. But anything to add?
Yeah, I think it's just important to just remember that this is an adult game and that we're all adults, and you need to be an adult to be here. And if anything offends you, to reach out directly to Panda on Discord and discuss it with him. But we're all human beings, and we're role playing characters in a dark world. So sometimes dark stuff happens, and you just really got to know that going in. So consider yourself warned, and we hope that you will enjoy our adventures here.
Absolutely. Thank you. Hijack, anything to add?
Not at all, man. I think you've got a pretty good feel for how I am as a player and what kind of content we're comfortable with.
Cool. Thank you. Raven?
No objections. You covered pretty much what I believe is fair play, and it's just my values.
Very good. Thank you. April? Ariel. Oh my god. It's because you mentioned April O'Neil in your character intro.
Yeah,
That's my
I took a
excuse.
moment.
Doomed.
I took a moment of just like,
Doomed. It's gonna happen now.
I do curse a bit, but I try and keep it under control. But everything seems reasonable.
You fucking well better. Dram.
Yeah, it all sounds good to me. Your games in particular, and I think Cyberpunk Uncensored as a whole, comes across very much as a welcoming community that doesn't want to drive anybody away. And I think that's part of that is the language that we choose to use, right? And the language that we choose not to. So I've been happy with what I've seen with everybody, and I think it fits in with me, and I think I fit in with that. So I think we're all good.
Nice to hear. Thank you. And Kara.
You mean Cyber Smiley?
Yep.
Yeah, I'm cool with all that. Again, like Locke's point, it is adult themed, so there is adult issues, and we are all adults. So if I say anything and offend anybody, tell me to shut the fuck up, and I will.
Very good. Okay, so it's nice to know we're all on the same page there. And a little rules point, people will probably notice I feel like I have a fairly good handle on the rules since I binge read the Cyberpunk Red rules in the first 48 hours after the PDF was released. And I've gone over them since, so most things I'm generally aware of. Generally, if we come into a situation and we're not sure if there's a rule that covers it specifically, if no one knows at the time, I will just make something up and that seems logical, and we will move on from there. And that's just to keep things moving, and because I don't like jumping back and forwards between 12 different PDFs and sitting there and watching someone hit Control F and then tab through the results is not the most exciting kind of stream for me personally. So I would rather move on, and then at the end we can always, if it's something that's important or we think is going to come up again, we can always absolutely look it up and do it per the rules for the coming thing. But one of the elements of Cyberpunk Red that I like particularly is that, much as, say, CP 2020 is a massively developed system with getting on for 100 or so source books over the years, so you can find everything that you want, Cyberpunk Red leaves a lot of things with, here are the basic rules, you work around it. And I like that. I like to just keep things moving and go on, and then we'll come back and revisit it if there's a rules clash later. And hopefully everyone's okay with that generally. So, let's move on to the type of game that we're going to do. Now, I think what I usually try to achieve is a little bit of a mix of everything. So we will have some investigation, some combat, I will try and make sure that everyone's character role has a part to play. That may not always be obvious, and quite often I love it when players, I put in action X that is like, oh, I think the netrunner is going to jump on this, or I think that the solo is absolutely going to take this path, and they do something completely different, and that is fantastic. But I will try and make sure that everyone keeps involved and gets their chance to play, because there's nothing more boring than sitting there through a 3-hour game session and your involvement in it is 5 minutes. It's kind of everybody's job, but mine more than anyone. to make sure everyone gets that chance to interact. So I do try and do that, and I try and vary the type of games that we have. Sometimes we will have combat heavier games, but there will always be in combat. There will be things to do for people who aren't necessarily combat specialized, and sometimes there will be that more, mystery driven or intrigue and other things going on. And again, the people whose main thing is blowing shit up will still have things to do within that. And hopefully that works. Much the same way that I try and mix I like darkness, so I try and then mix it in with some comedic moments in the hopes that that kind of balances out and keeps everyone fun, and we're not leaving the stream depressed. So again, I hope that works. Is there anything about that approach that anyone, I'm not going to go person by person, but is there anything particular that anyone wants to avoid, an element of the game that they find particularly boring, or something that they want to make sure we include, or any comments?
I'll just mention from the last session that we had, um, there is definitely a mix. I mean, we went like 2 sessions with like no combat at all, and then like 1 session where there was nothing but combat. And so if you're playing and you notice like it's been a little heavy in one direction or the other, Panda's pretty good about swinging that pendulum back the other way, further down the line. And anyone who watched before too, it does help if everyone's if you can't make it, just talking to Panda about it, because there were some instances where we had things planned that we couldn't do because we were missing some of the players. And so some people who were super combat focused had big encounters planned, and then they weren't able to be here, and then we did something else. So Panda's pretty good at working in things for everyone to do, but it helps if you're here every single session, so that those things can actually happen and give you that opportunity to interact with what he's planned. So it's
Yeah, I'll add
Thank you,
on to
Sensor.
that. Like, and if you're not gonna be there, that's like totally okay. Just communication is always the biggest thing. Like, I've I've probably missed a lot of sessions considering how many we had over the course of season 1, but I always tried to make sure I would reach out to Panda, as early as I know I wasn't gonna be there. That way he could ride around out.
Yeah, that's a fair enough point. That's worth mentioning. Is life happens for people. We're all adults with our own lives and our own responsibilities and things do change. And sometimes that's short notice. We just ask that when things come up, if you think you're not going to be able to make a game, you let us know as soon as possible, and that's absolutely fine. We try and keep everything fun for everybody, but yeah, it is. If you have a big car chase planned to take up a chunk of the session, and you've got events planned around it, and then the Nomad says at 2 hours' notice that they're not going to be there for the game, then it can kind of throw things for a loop. So yeah, that would be much appreciated if you could. So cool. Right. Okay. That's all the sort of procedural stuff, I think, out of the way. So let's find out a little bit more about people's characters, because I know we have some really strong character ideas here, and I'd like to. We can start with the existing characters, who some of you may have seen in action before, and just give us a little recap of your character. What do they look like, and what do they generally do? So Hijack.
My guy's name is Hijack. He is a young guy. You probably guess in his mid to late 20s. Primarily wears goggles and kind of like a bandana covering his face, like the half balaclava usually. And you would notice with those goggles that the color on the lenses is like constantly shifting. Anyone who's probably a little bit more skilled or knowledgeable about what netrunners do would recognize them as some virtuality goggles of some sort. Probably a little bit older than what's current, but they get the job done. If you're from the area, you'd probably recognize that he seems to be from the area too. I think Night City citizens tend to be of a certain kind, I'd say. And he would tell you that he's lived here for a while, but once you get to know him, he'd let on that he actually grew up on the California border, and seems to have a little bit of knowledge of nomad culture, just because of where he was raised. Other than that, his manner of dress is typically, I'd like to describe it urban ninja. Most people would call it urban lazy. Lots of sweatpants, hoodies, loose fitting clothing that doesn't make too much noise. And yeah, that's all I can think of for now.
Nice, thank you. Locke, what are you bringing to the table?
So Locke recently came to Night City. I'm not sure how much time has passed at this point, but it's probably about six months before the session 2 or session 1 ended. He was, and I guess we kind of talked about this in the last session, so just kind of catch people up from the recap. But it was revealed that he was actually working in, or he used to live in Hong Kong in the combat zone. And his family had set up a business there, basically fixing tech from corpos to mercenaries to and just Joe on the street. Kind of became a haven for people of all different groups and triads to come together when they needed to have a safe meeting spot. And then, of course, the plague happened, and the whole place, the combat zone, was eradicated. He continued to kind of live on the outskirts of the combat zone and would occasionally still smuggle people or goods in and out. And was contacted at one point by Alt actually to assist in setting up a base of sorts in the combat zone. And so he got them set up in the combat zone, which is part of the storyline of Cyberpunk Red, which is kind of cool. And then ended up going to Night City for an unknown reason to find something. And at the end of the session, we found out what that was. And so that's kind of where he's at now. He's been trying to assemble a team of runners to kind of work on getting these things together, and has had luck with one person kind of hanging out for that. The other guy got double crossed and from a solo, and now they're kind of licking their wounds. And I'm not really sure what we have in store, but we have a hot commodity now that we have to get rid of. But Panda might have more on that.
I might have one or two ideas. Thank you. Raven, who is Valentina?
Valentina, she's a clean cut exec. She's got mid-length, a long, wavy hair that she usually has up in a bun. She's only about 5'5". What's this? She's she doesn't drive. She has a driver. Her name is by the name of Vincent. She usually wears just the latest fashion, the latest corpo fashion. Pretty much. She's not good at hand to hand. She's what's this? She has some experience with handguns, so she usually carries like a medium handgun just for her protection. So that's about it.
Cool, thank you. And Ariel, who is Striker. Got it right this time.
Yes. Okay. So Mine's a little bit more bare. So like Stryker or Wanda, been wanting to be like a documentary for document. For the life of me, I can't like get this word right. Documentarian. If you guys know what I mean, so I'm just gonna keep on moving forward.
Yeah, it's all good. It's all good. We know you mean documentarian. It's all good.
Yeah. So she's Western European. She's very fluff-headed. She's like, everything's cool, everything's nice. Very flashy. Just like, look at my stuff. But she's very in love with the idea of love, but she doesn't actually love anyone. So
Okay.
So she's just like, oh, love's so great, but you're an obstacle. You gotta get out of the fucking way. So as much as she would like romantic, she's just hasn't found anyone who actually fits. And that might be her fault. We'll never know. And she plays the flute, like, but she grew up like an edge runner, always like, oh god, I'm like mentioned it and then I completely forgot what it meant. Moving to place, like her family just completely vanished. She's like the only one left. She ends up having a childhood friend that she ends up working with on like a media project and completely fucks her, completely humiliates her. She's still living down this reputation, so she's very much like, I got a job to do, don't fuck with me. And like she's just, yeah, not a very nice person. Very bitchy. And like she's just like, she does love corporate takedowns, but she's totally corrupt. Just going like, oh, you want to play dirty? I can play dirty. I can do it better. But I think that's everything I had on her.
Yep, nice. We're already getting some deep truths from the media. So thank you for that. And Cyber Smiley, let's dig a little more into your solo.
So my solo's name is Harabag, which means green tiger. He grew up in the megastructure as a Warren rat. His family eventually crossed paths with some organized crime, which they started or caused a debt to be paid by the family. Because the family was trying to avoid that, Hara has kind of gone from place to place throughout his childhood. Eventually, he crossed paths with a government official within India, and that caused him to basically leave the country and try to set out and repay that debt that his family owes him, and B, to basically make something of himself. He is dressed in a green akan, and he also has two daggers, the Jambla, that are at his side.
What's a haka?
And again, an akan is kind of a traditional Indian long coat. I've already selected a picture of him, so I'll post that to all of you guys on what he looks like. The other striking feature about him is his eyes are those of a tiger. So they're yellow with almost pin eyes. That's about him. He seems very serious all the time, though, when you do meet him.
Okay, very nice. Thank you. And again, last but not least, our nomad. let's find a little more about him.
All right. So Dram started life in Night City shortly after the incident. And he grew up in one of those mega structures at first. His parents were actually indentured servants to like a corporation, right? And they had to work off everything that everything they got to live on. Unfortunately, industrial accident happened. They were no longer around. And because a corporation is a corporation, he inherited their debt. So at like 14, here's this kid, doesn't want to work, doesn't have the skills or abilities to do it. So instead, he takes off into the Badlands, runs away from Night City. And this is where he first encounters the Nomad Pack. Now, his particular nature and his penchant for, apparently, according to the roles, getting into tragic love affairs, sort of ruined his reputation with each pack he joined. So he actually isn't in a pack right now. He's traveled between various packs, learning mechanics, learning to drive, learning to shoot, that sort of stuff. But never settled down with any particular pack because after a while, either they got tired of him or one of his relationships went bad, and there he goes. Has to run away once again. So he's just coming back into Night City, sort of early mid-20s now, and he is very much afraid of being identified ever for who he is. As far as appearance goes, basically what you see is what you get. But if you look at him for a little while, you start to realize there's something off about his face. It's actually because he has no hair at all, no eyebrows, nothing. For whatever reason, he every morning, every day shaves everything off. So that's just a weird thing he does. As far as appearance and that sort of thing goes, and the rest, I guess, we'll learn along the way and build together.
It's less wind resistance when he's riding his bike around.
Exactly.
Okay, awesome. So we have a good starting idea of who people are then. And some really, really interesting starting points there. So thank you for putting those together. Now, we have a couple of decisions to make then. So, obviously, this is Season 2 of an ongoing campaign. We have 2 returning characters. So, with that much of the original group gone, I don't yet know, because I'm going to leave it up to these discussions to decide how much has changed between the end, the climax of the first season, and now. Now, did any of I'm probably directing this to Locke and Hijack. Did either of you have any preference for how much time you wanted to have passed between? I'm presuming you want some time between the betrayal that went on and picking up with a new team, both in terms of mending your wounded hearts, but also having a bit of downtime to get on with your own personal projects as well.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think we didn't really discuss this. I don't think it would be a grand amount of time, though. Well, did you have any thoughts, Buck?
So, I mean, I think what I would probably do is I have some tech that I need to work on. So, depending on how long, that would take to work on it, and then I would probably be getting the garage warehouse area that we have set up for another job. So I was thinking a few weeks, maybe a couple months or something. I think we talked Hijack about laying low a little bit after that, big heist that we had.
Yeah.
But not
A
like
couple
years or
months
anything.
does sound. Yeah, no, I think a couple months is probably like what would be like the high end of what we're thinking. Because I know
Yeah.
personally, Hijack really wouldn't have much to do besides lay low. Well, you know what? He would probably those other of tech that we pulled out. I think he would while Locke is doing his projects, Hijack would probably be looking into that tech and how they could basically make it into a use for their team, because he's pretty much kind of assuming that him and Locke are going to be sticking together from this point.
Okay.
'Cause they've
So
got into some shit.
yeah, they've been through some things. They've seen some things, man. You weren't there.
See some shit, man.
So
See some shit.
So this falls in line with what I generally had in mind, if you guys had no preference, which was somewhere in the region of we're picking up maybe 6 to 8 weeks after the events of the final session of Season 1. So to give a quick recap of the end of Season 1, our team went in. They were hired at very, very short notice under assumed names, thanks to the work of one of Locke's contacts. They were hired to go into what was it was actually an old electronics firm, but which didn't really have any. They weren't, say, a military firm or anything like that. They just dealt in general consumer electronics, and they had a bunch of weird sort of patent ideas, either on the books or which had been applied for and then abandoned, stored away in their basement. And this information had been uncovered by a random sort of PhD student had dug up a bunch of paperwork, put it out there on the net, not realizing the possible importance of what they'd put out there. And suddenly there were things on the list of abandoned projects that might still exist in their old building in the hot zone, which people took immediate interest in. Multiple parties wanted to get there and claim this tech, find out if it was worth anything before anyone else got there. Now, our team were hired as one of those groups, specifically to go and get what was supposed to be some advanced communications equipment, and this was it was based around the idea of a series of microsatellites with stealth technology. And its original application, and the reason it never went into production, was because it was banned, as its entire purpose was to allow corporations to operate from different areas of the world and have their communications appear to be coming from somewhere else, because they were routed through these micro stealth satellites. So, for tax reasons, they could carry out operations in one country and have it appear that they were operating in another, and slash their cost margins. Very, very interesting at the time. So yeah, that was quickly banned by the authorities of the day, because there were authorities back then. Nowadays, what this would mean is having your own tight band, high power communication satellite, which only works on a relatively small scale, so it's not for mass transit. But what it would do is, in the time of the red, allow you to directly connect from anywhere in the world to pretty much any other system in the world, as long as you're not talking something multiple floors beneath the surface in a bunker. Then you could get to an access point from wherever you liked. You could also do things if you wanted, such as, connecting your competitors' systems directly to the net wastelands behind the Great Firewall. You can do all sorts of things. You could allow AIs to move from place to place at high rate data transfer, and avoid any legal restrictions that way. There were lots of potential applications for this. And the team was sent in to retrieve it. They went through a few obstacles along the way and successfully retrieved this, along with a couple of other pieces of tech that they pulled out, since they figured they could take a few seconds to maybe get themselves another payday. They weren't intending to hand over this tech to their actual employer, though. They decided, or there was an ongoing discussion, which I believe was supposed to be decided, but not everybody was fully on board, about maybe rather than taking the big payday and handing this over to the corpos, that they would give this tech to the AI resistance that Locke is in contact with, as it could help save a lot of artificial lives and help them to move around freely and not be persecuted in the ways that they have been. Not everybody was fully on board with this. Some people needed convincing. Some people seemed like they had been convinced begrudgingly, and then, as with their solo,
Stabbed in the
turned on
back.
group.
Treachery.
So waited, and I honestly didn't think he was going to get a chance to do it. But then there was some intense techery going on, and he took the chance to sneak away the case with the control mechanism and documentation regarding this system. Took it and started sneaking away and brought in he'd only been able to, in the short period, get a two-man merc backup team who opened fire as a distraction basically on the group, and while he tried to make his getaway, and at the last second he was spotted. It was realized that, hang on, we had 3 cases and now there are only 2. And, oh look, there's one on the back of the solo who's rapidly making his way around to get a flanking position on the people who are shooting at us, and who he was miraculously unable to hit with his incredible targeting skills. A fight ensued and was brought to an end through the use of military-grade AV-mounted weaponry, as a matter of last resort when things really got desperate and they knew the authorities were on the way and time was about to be non-existent. So tough decisions were made, people and vehicles were shredded into non-existence, and an incredible luck roll managed to achieve the tech that was in the hands of the person hit with the vehicle-mounted chain gun not to take more than the odd ding and scratch and be perfectly fine and usable. So they recovered this tech. In the intervening time, there's been a bit of discontent within the group. So 2 of their remaining members, their medtech, Plague, and their nomad, Slavo, who had their own things going on anyway, but made the decision that maybe this group was getting a little bit too involved with themselves and maybe motives were conflicting, so they have parted ways in a fairly amicable fashion. So spoils were divided up, no hard feelings all around, just maybe things are a bit too sore to work together again at this point. Slavo had, through their recent actions, gotten back in good with his former nomad clan, who he was on the outs with, so he's returned to them. And Plague decided to go, put his efforts full-time into the small off-books medical clinic that he was running anyway. So now the group is down to 2, with a couple of issues. They had false identities that they were under, which had been set up when this mission took place. However, their deaths in connection with that mission have now been faked. So they needed to leave a little bit of time so that they weren't immediately linked with, hang on, these people were supposed to be blown up in an APC 2 days ago, and they've just been seen drinking coffee out on the streets.
So we got bodies from our med guy, and left a bunch of bodies there, and the transponders, and just basically burned everything to a crisp. So the hope is obviously that we died. Our identities died there, because we never revealed our true identities. So Locke and Solo were
Exactly.
never actually there. Locke and Hijack, but
Yeah.
that's the hope anyway.
Which is why we think that after a few weeks of just laying a little low and maybe investigating a couple of other things rather than taking more jobs, that will be enough to leave you free and clear, and that whatever corporation it was that hired you will have moved on to other things by that point and just written it off as a failed short notice mission, which ate up some resources. Yeah, no big deal. So, in the other two cases that you'd retrieved, because I believe we reached a conclusion, and that you were going to pass off the main target of the mission to Alt Group. Of the other two cases, one was filled with a bunch of antique, absolutely pristine car manuals, which who knows what that was doing in the vaults of this electronics company, but someone had prized these pieces enough to store them there in the highest security room of the building that they worked in, or possibly owned. Who knows?
Are these manuals for pre-Chew 2 vehicles or for
Oh, they
modern?
are.
Oh,
Yeah.
I see.
They are ancient news. These are not things that you see nowadays, you know. But there is a sort of agreement made or offered between Slavo and Plague that since they no longer wish to continue running, at least for the time being, that if you're happy with it, Slavo is pretty sure that through the Nomads, they can source the kind of buyers who would be really interested in these kind of things and make some money out of them, if you're happy to take the contents of the other case. The other case contains a lot of very, very fine, highly experimental circuit boards, wiring, no finished machines. This is all very delicately made, vacuum sealed, environmentally controlled. When you open the actual outer protective case, it's actually, and there is a powered unit in there which keeps it exactly at a low temperature. It keeps moisture out, keeps everything pristine. And those we'll go into the details in the Discord, because not everybody needs to hear the ins and outs of it. But those pieces will, in effect, if you choose to, you can choose to sell them and they will have a cash value, or you can choose to use them as components in an amount. They will replace a value of components in electronic or cyber technology, or any sort of electronic based equipment that you should choose to build or modify. They will replace X amount of value in doing that, and also give you a bonus to the appropriate rolls made to finish those items if you use those components, because they are such high quality compared to what's generally available in the time of the Red. So they offer to do a split, since you two are the techie type guys, and since Flavo thinks that he can probably get a hookup in time for these antique manuals. He offers that you split one case apiece. You guys have the electronics. They have the old magazines.
Yeah, I think we would be amenable to that. Hijack would probably ask for like one particular magazine of like an old muscle car that he finds particularly attractive, and is just like, I'm gonna hold on to this one. So.
Slavo sort of gives you an approving nod, and is happy to agree to that just because he's so impressed by the move. And in fact, he's prompted to ask whether Locke wants to have a dig through. It's a fairly sizable case, so there may be something in there that interests him. So if there's an item that he would like to take from the collection, he can.
Looking for a Shelby GT, old one.
In particular, the one I would grab is Plymouth Hemikuda.
Ooh, Hemikuda.
Very nice. So yeah, you guys make this deal. It sounds like everybody is okay with it. So you have those resources, and you'll be using them in due course. Now there is also so there's the slight matter that this job was done through Mrs. Hahn, your landlady, who has been your fixer for some time. And it was done under false identities, but she also still didn't want you going out there under her name for a bit in case someone put two and two together and there was backlash. She can handle a team having a loss on her watch, especially on a short notice job. She felt like she owed you that for things that you'd done recently for her and her family, but she didn't want betrayal on her books because that would hurt her business. So, in the meantime, then, we're a few weeks later. You guys feel you've had time to work on your personal projects, which, again, we can discuss in the Discord and so on, and work out what you want to do. Over that time, you'll have also had the chance to either get in touch with old contacts, if anybody wants to know anybody pre-existing, or also meet up with some of the newer runners who are coming through the place on jobs as they come in to visit Mrs. Hahn, because you know that she does a lot of her business out of the building that you live in. So, with that in mind, does anybody here have any preferences for? I would like the team to have some sort of connection already. It doesn't have to be everybody knows everybody. Everybody doesn't have to be best pals. But I would like at least everyone to know at least one other person, so you have someone there that you trust or would vouch for to a degree. It doesn't have. It could be a friend. It could be someone that you've just worked with on a previous job. Does anyone think there's someone else here within the players that they think, yeah, you know, I can think I did this job and we probably needed someone who fills this role for it, so I probably met this person there?
I might be able to volunteer some stuff. I mean, we were looking for a media to assist with the besmirching of the crime lords, Mrs. Hahn's brothers.
Very true.
And so maybe that was something that Stryker helped us do, is take down. I don't know if that's something your character would be into, but taking down a really bad gang lord and sharing some information about his personal doings in hopes to, take him out.
Not gonna like pass something that falls onto my lap now, am I? Like, maybe I can be wanting to do like a little documentary on it.
Okay. Yeah, so I mean, we definitely needed a media to do that. So maybe we had discussed that at one point, and you were helping us, get the word out about it, and that could be an easy way for you to know Hijack and I, just as one of the people who helped us get all that info out.
Absolutely, that sounds entirely reasonable. So this was a local mob boss who, his daughter is Mrs. Hahn's niece. Mrs. Hahn is the, dare I say, old team's fixer and landlady in one, and for various reasons, she had not lived with her father from a very young age because he was not happy with her identity, and he had what he would call traditional views, which it in
He
other
wanted a
words
boy.
basically meant he
He
wasn't.
wanted a boy.
Yeah.
And she was a girl. Yeah.
Yeah, he wasn't happy with the revelation that she was a girl rather than a boy, and wanted to fix that in some way, either by somehow convincing her that her identity was wrong, or by eliminating her so that she wasn't what he saw as a source of shame on his family. And they, much as they were on board with the plan of, well, let's kill this guy because he's a piece of shit, there was some hesitance about doing absolute cold clinical wet work. So instead, there was a decision made to grab this guy when he was engaging in one of his many various off-book activities that he liked to keep secret from his quote-unquote traditional acquaintances and business associates, and expose what he was doing, and then also bang him into a shipping container and send him off around to the other side of the world. So by the time that he came back to Night City, his business would have been picked clean by his competitors, and that worked rather successfully.
And
So,
his doings were smeared all over the net by a media team.
Yeah,
Stryker.
absolutely. So engaging Stryker to write up this guy's many transgressions, his provable crimes, and his general lack of respect for the law or any person or their existence, seemed like a good opportunity. So you've done some work together, and you feel like you have a bit of a connection. You know, you can trust each other, and you've had a little bit of a chance to see each other in action. So that's cool. Any more for any more? Who wants to go next? Who's listened to someone's character concept and thinks, you know what, I would like to know that person?
I think you're muted.
Well, I think
Graham.
for my character, because he is a freelance black ops, he probably has worked in the corporate area, which Valentina might know or has heard my name previously, or even worked for her to do certain jobs.
That sounds like a good tie-in. I was thinking that since I'm a mid-level, project manager, working for a subsidiary of Rockland Augmentics, I could be contacting a good fixer to hook me up with people for odds and ends. So that would probably tie me in pretty good with Lock, Hijack, and Harbaugh.
Cool. So yeah, you've since you put together your, I'm guessing your title is project manager, and that may be a very much on paper description which doesn't really cover the ins and outs of what you do on the legal or less legal side of things. And if I'm wrong, feel free to correct me. But yeah, if you worked putting together these special projects for your corporation, then absolutely you would come into contact with some of these people. You probably have a bit of a working relationship to more or less degree with some of them, and maybe you occasionally reach out to one another or for a favor. If it's like, well, I don't have a job, but I do have something that needs dealing with, so maybe I can, if I ring this person up and say, well, I'm not going to fund it myself, but if you take care of this problem for me, then next time we have a company job, I can make sure it comes your way, or I can make sure that we, slip up in the negotiations and you get a better payday out of it. So you can do your little favors there, and you also have your driver if anyone happens to be in urgent need of a chauffeur. then he's a useful resource to you as well, and will do pretty much whatever you ask, no questions asked.
Precisely.
I think Dram was going to say something,
Cool.
but he was muted at the time. Our nomad.
Yeah, I was just thinking that that definitely probably would have run into Hijack before, given the mutual nomad connection there. Could be also connected to Locke through maybe deliveries of equipment for Locke's work, that sort of thing.
All right.
Yeah.
That sounds good.
I would say that Hijack feels really comfortable with working for nomads and with nomads just because he grew up in a town. So probably a majority of his work has come through the clans because he in particular has a strong dislike for corporations. And so most of his jobs are at their expense to the benefit of the nomad clans. So maybe not if there's not like a direct knowledge, you would at least have heard of him as like a reliable source for net running. Very discreet, likes to work alone, so probably have heard something, especially with if you're Black Ops, you would know like, okay, maybe I haven't hired this guy, but I know of him.
Yeah.
Very good. So we're getting some good connections here. And Hara, is there anyone who's jumped out at you that maybe you think, you know what, I can see where I would maybe fit in with that person's story, or where I would have met them?
Yeah, as I thought. So Valentino probably would know me if she is a corporate because I am a freelance agent.
Cool.
So I had a
So
question.
everyone has at least go on.
And maybe this will help other people too, like who don't, because I'm not super familiar with the cyberpunk universe and things. How do and Valentina, maybe you can help me out with this. How execs kind of work into the underworld of because obviously you work for an executive corporation and you do a bunch of off the books work, I would think. But how does you working with other cyberpunk runners and things work with your day job and that kind of stuff?
Pretty much the corporate, the exec life is pretty as cutthroat as it comes. So like if anything comes up with projects that we that are off the books, procuring things for deadlines that we have to make, then by hook or by crook we'll get what we need when we need it. It's just, there is no such thing as no law that can't be broken. So we'll coordinating with upper level management and like that. As long as I don't get any static from them, I can like enlist whoever I need to, or work with and barter with whoever I need to get my jobs done. So I can elevate myself up or higher up the totem pole.
Cool. Okay.
From what kind of my understanding was, is I think corporations aren't like how we kind of think of them today. They're less like, they do have their vested business interests, but they're also, think like crime families. They're like large crime families where in the literal sense, like you have people whose families grow in the entire corporate structure, and they may have these titles and positions, but they aren't like desk employees. That kind of makes sense, at least from what I've gathered.
Yeah, there is a lot of that. There are people who may have positions on paper, so they're paid for doing something, but what their actual job entails may have little to no relation to what their contract says. That's just a means of putting everything through nice and legally and having it all add up in accounts. whether that person is listed as in human resources, and that means human trafficking, whether that person is in, mergers and acquisitions, and that means blowing places up so their stock price drops so we can take them over.
Yeah.
It's all good. It's all is fair in love and business.
Yeah, so Hara being a freelance Black Ops agent, basically corporations would hire him as a deniable asset. Whether it's like Panda says, sabotage, wet work, assassination, espionage, extractions, right? So corporations will also, if there's a lead researcher at one corporation developing, the cure to cancer, another corporation will hire a team to go in and get that guy out of that corporation and bring them into their fold. I'm trying to think of like some good movies to associate with it. Yeah, it's. I would say Free Jack is kind of, it's not a great movie, but it has that aspect of he has hired mercenaries to go and track down the main guy who escaped.
Yeah, there are lots of various things that you could be hired to do, and some of them may be simple. It may just be providing protection for execs or company engineers or whoever who are going into a difficult situation. It could be clearing out the indigenous people from an area because fuck it, those natural resources are yours and those guns say so. Yeah. They're a typical, the corporations of the future are just as caring and touchy-feely as they are today. So that some things haven't changed in the time of the Red. And I'm not cynical. Honest. Okay, so we have some definite starting points and some people who know one another, so that is good. One of the things that we did in season 1, the main base of operations was
Sally's
essentially
Alley.
the group's home. Yeah. It was either Sally's Alley, the bar owned by Mrs. Hahn's niece on the ground floor of the building that they lived in, or just the building itself. Now, since we've got a slightly wider group, then I thought it might be worth discussing. Does anybody have any? Because I'm happy for that setup to continue, but does anybody have any particular inclination that they think, actually, I'd like it to be based somewhere else? I think it would be a cool setup for us all to work out of X place, because if only 2 of you are living in the same building, at least to start with, then you can absolutely choose to move around if you want. There is no obligation to. It's just an option that's there.
I don't know how Locke feels about this, but I think maybe for the time being we would operate out of the garage and kind of avoid our old haunt. But that being said, I don't know if Locke would be wanting to expose our garage to outside people yet. So that's kind of something I guess we could discuss.
Yeah, I mean, I think, I think Jed and I kind of talked about this a little bit on Discord. I think we're trying to set up our next job, and so I think the Sally's Alley just works well because we can just kind of set up shop there and hang out, and then still have people who are corpos or solos or even media who come in to talk with Mrs. Hahn. We have some kind of interaction there, can build a team up. But we do have a garage as well that we are slowly outfitting, and hopefully when we pull a certain job, we'll have a bunch more gear in, which might also work as a kind of a next step. But yeah, I don't know if we don't even really have much in there right now to really host anything besides just as a
Yeah,
place
that is
to
true.
kind of rip stuff apart and then store. So
I mean, you've got a few weeks if you want to use some of that time to, if you want to hit up IKEA and get some bunks and cots to put in there so you can crash on downtime, get desks or workbenches so you can work on your various projects or whatever. You can do that, and Mrs. Hahn is absolutely fine with that. She's also, because again there was a mutual agreement that you were going to lay low for a bit and maybe not appear on her books again immediately. She has no objection to you going and working with other fixers as well if you want to look for other sources of work, or if you want to pursue your own personal projects. Because I know there were some things that maybe you wanted to look into, and we've discussed a little bit about, but we can go into more in the Discord if you like, or if you want to bring them up here, that's absolutely fine too. So yeah, if you want to run your own things for a bit and get a little bit of distance, then the garage is an option, or you can go to other places as well.
So I mean, I think both Jed and I have our own things that we're going to do over the weeks. I'm not sure exactly what he has planned, but I mean, I would probably work in my garage, getting it set up. I think I sent you a message, Panda, on getting things prepared for the next job. But that's how I met Hijack and things. I think eventually I would return to back to the lobby, hanging out with Sally, get my booth set up, doing tech repairs for people, keeping guns running, that kind of thing, and taking that opportunity to try to meet additional people. And I'm fine if Panda, you had a different idea how you wanted all of us to meet. I'm down for that, but it does seem like a convenient place that we can kind of have people come in and out of, and I'm fine with continuing to meet people at Sally's Alley location. So
Cool. Right. So I think, to be honest, and feel free to jump in if there's anything else that you want to bring up. But I think we've covered most of the basics in the game that we're going to be having going forwards. Is there anything particular that anyone else wanted to, go through? Anything you wanted to mention? Make sure that we bring
looks
up.
like the layout just changed.
yeah, I think our solo might have done something with his camera, possibly, but not the solo. There we go. I think we're back.
We've lost an exec briefly.
Yeah. Okay.
There we go.
Yeah. So it fixes itself. That's good.
Woohoo! Welcome back. Yeah.
No, yeah, I think he's right. Sally's Alley is a good place, and other than that, I think Hijack would probably be poring over like whatever data he pulled out of that old laptop, and his main goal is to try to replicate that in some kind of way. He doesn't really have a lot of hopes, but he maybe wants to if he can't replicate it, create a technology that's kind of similar to it. But other than that, he's landed very low. He's not running any jobs. He's only talking to Locke. He's pulled up. Maybe he goes on to Mrs. Hahn's local net that he set up for her to handle things. But other than that, he's just hanging out.
Well, we've got. You certainly did. You had a chance to pull pretty much all the information that was on that laptop. So you have the ins and outs of how this system works. You have, because this was a prototype, because there were diagnostic programs running on absolutely everything, all that information was there to dump off. So you have all the theoretical makings of recreating that system yourself. There's a lot of requirements to actually, put such a thing together, and to, one of the big ones being getting your own microsatellites up into orbit. But this is all a technical glitches all day. This is all. It's doable. It would take lots of resources to recreate.
I think his goal, knowing that it originally relies on microsatellites, would be something with like a local small band relay dish. So maybe he can't go anywhere, but something he can set up on the outside of a building and be a little bit more able to take a snap at things remotely.
Okay, so you're trying to rebuild the glory days of the Netrunner, when you could, sit in a vehicle 3 blocks away and maybe interact with systems from there. You know what? To a degree, that will be possible. I mean, you need line of sight for these things, and you're not going to have something that's as powerful as one of those satellites. You don't have your own little nuclear power plant there, but definitely with time investment and possibly some of Locke's help, you could kit that out into something that fits inside a vehicle.
Goals.
That's a doable project.
Yeah, maybe we just need to try to get ourselves a satellite, just kind of set up over Night City or something, man. Or
That's end game
Yeah.
right there, bud.
Hey,
or like
I'm
climb up
never
some.
gonna say no to players having big campaign goals. If you have something in mind that you want to go for, hit me with it. And this is not just something for the ongoing players. Uh, Everyone else, you are now members of our little family here. So your goals matter just as much as everybody else's. So even if you don't have a clear idea of them now, as and when you develop more of a feel for your character as we go, or as themes come up and you think, you know what, I'd like to investigate that more, which is how both of the things that we've been discussing for these two characters just now are things that came up within the previous season that they decided they personally wanted to run with because it touched on the things that interest them or their backstory, and it was relevant to them. So please do feel free to tell me if you want to run with something like that, and we can do it as on screen or off screen as is appropriate. So don't feel like you're hogging screen time. Hell, if anything, you're possibly making my job easier if you say, you know what, I know exactly what I want to do. So can I put people together and can I choose a mission that we're going to do because I want to achieve this? Hit me. I will always be up for that. I love player interaction. I love chat interaction. It's great the amount of people that we have like speaking and offering nice comments and even the not so nice comments. As long as they're meant in fun, then that's all good. So yeah, we love chat interaction, and as already mentioned, we're maybe going to include a little bit more of that. There are already the bonuses chat can give you guys, but there may be some decisions that come up that I will come up with multiple options, and then I will allow chat to choose what you guys have to contend with. Now this may be things like the name of a certain NPC, or it may be, what's going to happen. Are you gonna sail through a mission, or is there going to be an ambush or a double cross? Or who knows? Who knows what power I may choose to delegate to them from my godlike stance here in my messy office.
Panda brings up a good
So,
point. It's something that's a little unique to what we do here. I think is what I've seen in a lot of other RPG games that are done on Twitch, is that myself and Panda and Hijack and maybe a few of you guys are already in there, but we kind of have a chat going on Twitch. So if it is possible with your technical setup, like for me, I just have my cell phone on my desk that has the channel going with chat, so I can kind of see that and put in little notes in there. And I have a lot of fun interacting with chat as we play. Chat can give us +2 bonuses, like the Graphite Dragon just did. Thank you. And so there's it's definitely a unique thing here that I think is pretty cool. I don't know. I haven't seen a lot of other places where we have almost a constant kind of chat interaction, and that's only going to help us get more people involved. We had some great suggestions coming from chat on how to deal with certain issues, and so we can all use everyone's help to kind of keep that chat active and going. And it is a little bit of a balancing act, because sometimes you're trying to listen to the game and type something into chat, but if we can multitask, I think it does bring something pretty awesome to this particular channel for Panda's game.
Absolutely agreed, and it does help with our creativity as well. If we ever have, creative brain freeze, and we just, the players don't know what to do next, and I don't want to jump in and just hand them the answer because I'm just not a very nice person. Then you guys can feel free to jump in with suggestions and tell them, hey, shoot this. Hey, maybe you should go speak to this person, and they might be able to lend you a hand. Or, oh, do you remember that he mentioned that there was, this thing was on the floor under the table? Whatever comes up, you guys want to jump in? We try and keep engaged there, because we're not just here to have fun ourselves. We're also here to hopefully entertain you guys as well, and do some good that way. And oh god, you know what? We mentioned it, so I'm going to. I've just reminded myself of something that came up on Friday night / Saturday morning for me. The session 0 for the other campaign that I will be running is that there was a gauntlet thrown down in regards to the fact that sometimes our streams tend to run on a bit. Now, I've been better at reining them in and getting the length down to sort of the 3-hour mark to make sure I'm not sending people to sleep. But for our final session of Season 1, I did deliberately allow that to run because I didn't want to curtail anyone's fun in the grand finale, and I wanted everyone to get to say their piece, do their actions, and not kind of rush them through it. And what came up from that was the idea of, in future, running it would be a one-shot, but running a 24-hour charity game and doing a 24 hours straight through play. Obviously, there will be breaks of Cyberpunk Red.
Wow.
So if anybody feels this, I don't feel this is a project that's going to happen overnight. But then again, who knows? Because Rob is able to pull things together in minutes and motivate people to do incredible things. So who knows? But I may have sort of committed to doing that in the future. I won't say it's going to be in the next couple of weeks, but it is upcoming. So if anybody thinks that's the sort of thing they would like to get involved with, and there may be something that I have to set in place where maybe I run between different groups of characters. Like if some people are only available for like a 4-hour or a 6-hour slot, and we run from location to location, and people drop in and out according to their schedules. Because I don't think anybody else is as insane as I am. This was a very random conversation which came up on Friday, and when I said about doing good, I thought, oh yeah, I remember now what I agreed to at like 4:30 a.m. on Saturday. Yeah. So yeah, if that's something that anyone will be interested in getting involved in the future, then that's going to be there will be some details worked out, and we'll get some specifics when that's coming up. So yeah, feel free to jump in. But I think we've covered most of the things. I think we know where we're starting from. Same time next week. Is there anything that anyone wants to clarify, or anything that anyone wants to mention before we do sign-offs and let everybody go home and finish up their weekend?
I'd be interested in hearing some of our newer characters' goals, if they do have any of them currently. If not, then no pressure.
Absolutely, good points. Yeah, although I mentioned them, I didn't specifically ask for them, so thank you and I will always thank people for doing that, because my brain goes off on tangents, as you've just seen, and I forget to do things that I'm meant to do. So thank you very much for that, Jedi. So yeah, do you guys have, and it's absolutely fine to say no if you haven't thought that far ahead yet, but do you have any sort of driving goals or any long-term targets that you've thought about for these characters, and which you'd like to share, that can either be open or sort of out of character knowledge.
Well, Hara basically is trying to fulfill that family debt that he's incurred and he wants to honor. Basically, that is his main goal, is to repay that debt. And that's one of his driving factors. Do whatever it needs to get done. And that's kind of been his life goal right now. That and to get off the streets, be someone.
Okay, cool. Solid goals. Any more?
Dram is still pretty bitter about what's happened with that corporation, and the only thing he's focused on long term would be to end that corporation.
Oh man, you're gonna be buddies with Hijack for sure.
Bringing down corpos. That is what this game is about. I mean, no offense to our exec.
Yeah, I feel maybe there's going to be a little bit of friction with Valentina.
If it ties in with the other corporation that I'm trying to get revenge for the death of my parents, then I'm all for it. We can grind that axe.
Okay.
There you go. Or they could just be competitors and you could get a promotion out of it. Hey, it's all good. Right. Okay. I think we're drawing to a close there. So we will go back round, and I will thank everybody for coming, for being so active in chat. As I've mentioned, we're going to have more options for you to interact in chat, as well as those bonuses that you can give to players. So those things will be coming up, and watch out for them when you are watching the streams. Thank you so much to Rob for all the work that he puts in running Cyberpunk Uncensored. There's the Discord, the website, the YouTube channel, everything, and getting those sponsors, bringing together so many GMs and players. If you want to get a game or want to put your own game together and find players for it, the Cyberpunk Uncensored Discord is the place to do it. If you already have a game or you're thinking of one and you would like more resources to use in that, there is a pretty much unlimited supply of that created by the awesome community at Cyberpunk Uncensored, available either through the Discord or through the website as well. So get involved, take a look. You would be amazed at the things that people come up with there are things that I would never have thought of, and I freely admit that, and that are just so incredibly useful. And one of the things that Rob recently did was a 10-minute mission builder or campaign builder, where it's just a set of tables, and it is literally, this person wants to have something stolen from this group, and this is the complication that's going to go ahead with it, and this is what happens at the end of it, and do they backstab you, and do they, who else is involved, are there other players that you have to compete with? And it's just so, if you've ever had that writer's block feeling, or that I have many ideas and I can't narrow it down, and I just need a starting point, then using that is an incredibly effective little tool just to go, what, I'm going to do this. Okay, so it's we're gonna be protecting a neighborhood from a gang that's getting out of hand, and the pay is going to be low, but we're doing it because one of the characters has a personal connection, and maybe a member of their family lives in the neighborhood, so we're going to do it partially as a personal favor, and rather than just cash, we'll earn reputation in the community as well, or get some discounts on services or something instead. And you can just come up with that in minutes, and it's a fantastic little resource, alongside all the other tutorial videos, deep dives into character roles, tutorials on how to actually run a game, how to put a campaign together, and everything else that's on there. So there is way much more than my blathering over some excellent players and trying to run them through a game involved with this channel. So you can see this and more other games, but there's also a lot else there. So go around last time and we will do a little outro. Just recover what we touched on at the start. Who are you? What do you do? So we will go round from Locke.
So I'm Locke. I'm also Burrow's Forge here on Twitch. I stream Tuesdays and Thursday nights at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time and Saturday mornings at 9:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, doing blacksmithing, beekeeping, falconry, and mead brewing. I'm actually going to start doing. I'm going on vacation next week, so I will not be here for session one, unfortunately. But it was a months long planned absence, so I'm unfortunately going to miss you guys all for session one. Probably be getting some surgery done in character. Locke will be getting some stuff installed probably. But I'm looking forward to seeing you guys back here at session two. And I'm going to be start making some forge hooch. I'm calling it. It's going to be using an instant pot to make wine, and which I'll be consuming on stream, I would imagine. So that would be kind of fun. New addition to what we do. But anyway, I look forward to seeing you guys all here back in a couple weeks. And sorry, I will be missing you next week, but looking forward to playing with you all soon.
Cool. Thank you. Raven.
My name's Raven. You can find me on Instagram at unapologetic fierce Raven. I'm a massage therapist by trade, and and an esthetician. I've been playing Cyberpunk on and off since Cyberpunk 2020. Just now getting back into it. This is my first live stream. That's his sessions. So just happy to be here.
Cool. Thank you, and we are very happy to have you with us. Dragon.
Yeah, Chris, the Graphite Dragon, at thegraphitedragon.com. I'm an author by night, I guess, and a child and youth worker and addiction counselor by day in high schools. And I'm super excited to be playing this game and to be a part of the Cyberpunk Uncensored community. It's going to be just a blast. I'm very excited.
Okay, I suddenly feel very self-conscious about the fact that I drink on pretty much every stream.
Well, I smoked and drank on every stream, so I mean, it's just the way it goes.
I'm not worried at all.
That's
We're all
why they're
good.
here. We like to have a talk
Cool.
with you guys.
Yeah.
The most elaborate intervention ever.
Yeah, your friends are concerned about you.
I've known that for decades. Okay, Cyber Smiley.
Yeah, I'm Cyber Smiley. I got a website called cybersmiley.net. It's Cyber Smiley data for it. There I got a bunch of various web apps and some other resources to play with your game. I've been keeping that site alive since the 90s. More recently, I've added quite a lot to it. And you can also check me and Wisdom from Data Fortress 2020 out on Twitch here every other week on a Tuesday, yeah. That we right now we're going through a review of Cyberpunk 2077, but there's going to be a bunch more reviews and us just shooting the shit.
Cool.
Nice to meet you all, and I look forward to gaming with all of you.
Likewise. And Ariel.
Well, I'm Ariel. I have several different handles. Like on YouTube, I'm Sayin Brat. On Twitch, I'm Gray's Lovely Ladies. I do some poetry videos on YouTube, and I do gameplay on Twitch. I work as a dog walker, so I'm enjoying the interactions because mostly I'm talking to dogs, and you don't talk to humans the same way you talk to dogs. It's just Humans start taking offense to that. But mostly I'm just trying to do freelance writing and just trying to keep myself busy. I think I've talked enough.
Cool. And Jedi.
Hey y'all, Jedi the Gray here. As I've mentioned on some of our older streams, I don't really get up to much. I'm not really on social media or anything like that, but I do occasionally stream some gameplay on Twitch under the name Hunter Gathering Hub. I stream Monster Hunter mainly. Looking into possibly branching out, but nothing really in the works particular for now. But yeah, I look forward to playing with all our new members as well.
Very good, thank you. And as I mentioned, I'm Matt, aka Reservoir Panda, here and in theory on all the other social medias, but you know, I need to actually get around to engaging on those things and actually put some content up there. So I stream here on Cyberpunk Uncensored, both this game and there's another game which is at it's 0200 BST, which is like 10 a.m. No, it's 6 p.m. PST on Fridays, and that's the other campaign which has just started parallel to this. So we'll hope that I don't get confused between the two too often, but you know it's going to happen. And I will be in time. I'd like to get involved in other projects, so I'll be streaming various other games. I'll probably bring some of the games that I do privately into streaming as well. And yeah, look forward for the I cannot believe that I just went along with it. 24-hour live stream, which is sure to come up in the next few months. So that will be interesting, I promise, and we'll find lots of ways to keep everyone else awake and ourselves. I may have to knock off this stuff for that stream, because if it's 24 hours, that's going to be a problem. I may have to have something more caffeinated. So yeah. So as always, thank you so much for coming. Thank you for watching our silliness and contributing so much to the experience here. And oh, Irish coffee, I like it. Thank you. Yeah, that's a good idea. So yeah, thank you for contributing to what we do and making it so much more entertaining and engaging, and get involved with all those different resources that we've already mentioned. And we will see you here again, hopefully same time next week, and for some of the other streams that happen throughout the week as well. Check out the calendar below and you can see everything listed there. Thank you for coming. We love you all. Enjoy the remains of your weekend.
Bye.